What's going on, guys? Bubba's Quick here at ThinkComputers, and today we have a really cool product. This is the smallest X99 motherboard that's currently out. This is the ASRock X99E-ITX AC. So let's go ahead and take a look. The X99E-ITX AC comes in a very small box. Again, this is a very small motherboard. So again, the box just isn't gonna be that big. On the front, it has a picture of the board and lets us know some of our main features, all that. Typically, you know, what you see on a motherboard box. Flipping it around, it goes into full detail on everything, gives you a full overview of the board. Again, if you are at the store and you're not sure what you want, this should give you enough information to make your purchase. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what's all inside. So everything is this is a little bit different because of the fact that this actually comes with a cooler itself. This board has its own proprietary cooler because this is the only Mini-ITX X99 motherboard out there. So there is a lot of different things in here, which I'm gonna try to go through and go over. So I'll just start taking things out. We have our IO shield here. It is colored black. Looks like we have our antenna for the wireless, and this looks to be like the wireless card in this little package here. So it looks like we'll have our wireless card there. We have, this looks like to be an adapter. If I can try to get this out. This looks like to be the adapter for the CPU cooler. Again, not exactly sure because I just opened this, but that's what I believe this is. We have the antenna connectors for the Wi-Fi. So this is kind of like sort of like a do-it-yourself board because there's a lot of things you actually have to do to get this board up and running properly. We have, it looks like one set of SATA cables. What is this? This looks like some other type of connector. Not exactly sure. Some other type of connector that comes in this bag. Again, I'll go over all this stuff in detail in my full review. We have a set of SATA cables here, extra screws, and looks like some more extra screws and little adapter things. So we have all this, and then we have a set of SATA cables, two SATA 6 gig cables in here, and then we do have our software setup guide, and then we do have our quick installation guide, and then inside of that, typically we'll have our drivers and software CD, which we do have, and it does have an ASRock case sticker in there. One thing I always say with these drivers is go to the website, go to ASRock's website and download the latest drivers because these ones are probably outdated. And we'll get a look at the CPU cooler that comes with this. So the CPU cooler is made by Dynatron. Comes in this box, so we'll move this out of the way, and we'll see what it looks like. Again, this is this is something that you'll need to install yourself, and I believe this is the only kind of cooler that you can install on this board. Not exactly sure. So, one thing I already don't like about it, it comes with the CPU thermal paste actually on it. So if you set this down by accident, well, even though there's things on here, but this just makes it easier to smear everywhere. So I'm not that big of a fan of it, but again, it is on there. It looks like a pretty cool cooler, that very compact CPU cooler, extremely compact. You can see how small it is. My hands aren't that big, and I can easily hold this in my hand. So it looks like we have 4 heat pipes here that come up from the base. And then of course we have a very thick fan here. This is a small fan, maybe 30 millimeter fan, a fan that's gonna go on the front right there. So very, very cool. It's kind of, you know, it has some good weight to it as well. This is the cooler that you're gonna have to use for this. Of course, we're gonna go ahead and install it and run our temperature test and everything like that to give you an idea of what kind of performance you would have with this cooler. But it's quite an interesting design. Very cool to see ASRock do this, make a X99 motherboard this size. So the first thing I really wanted to point out is the size of this motherboard. Now we've seen Mini-ITX motherboards before, but putting a Intel Extreme processor, socket 2011 V3 on a board like this is pretty much incredible, just for the fact that you need a lot of room just for the CPU package itself. So just to show you in terms of size here, we'll kind of move this out of the way, and we have a typical 2.5-inch solid state drive, and I can get these both in the shot. You can kind of see just the size difference. You know, this solid state drive takes up almost, I would say, a third of the motherboard here. So you can see just how small this board is. But given that, we still have a lot of power in a very small space. So we do have your socket 2011 V3, and of course that is going to support the super high-end Haswell-E processors. Now right up here, which is covered by a heatsink, we have our VRMs, and this features a 6-phase all digital power design. So you still get, you know, a lot of X99 motherboards, full size X99 motherboards still have a fixed 6-phase design, and you have that here, and that is an all digital design as well. When it comes to memory, we'll move the board this way so you guys can kind of see. When it comes to memory, instead of having your quad channel that you would have, of course, on typical boards, because of size restrictions, we only have dual channel DDR4, and you can fit up to 32 gigabytes of DDR4 in here. So that still is quite a lot of memory in a small package here. Right along the DDR4 slots, we have our 24-pin ATX power connection, and if we move over to this side, we have our 8-pin EPS connector for the CPU, and we have a small 4-pin. It's kind of hard to see. We have a small 4-pin fan connector right there. We actually have another one here. So we have 2 4-pin fan connectors right there. And then we have our SATA ports right here, which you guys can see. And we have 4 SATA 6-gig ports right there. And then we'll move down, and you can see the actual PCH is covered by this ASRock heatsink, blue heatsink, which looks quite nice right here. We have a SATA Express port, and again, this is kind of cool to see on such a small board. So you do have the SATA Express connectivity there. And again, if you don't want to use the SATA Express part of this, that opens up 2 more SATA 6-gig ports if you want. You have your USB 3.0 header right there, and then you have a single PCI Express 3.0 X16 slot. So again, you can fit a full-size graphics card in here to have, you know, a crazy small system with a, you know, a pretty nice graphics card in there as well. We also have an Ultra M.2 slot. Let me move it this way so you guys can kind of see that. So you do have that Ultra M.2 slot, and of course that is for M.2 SSDs. That is a 32 gigabits a second slot right there as well. So again, a lot of really high-end stuff on such an extremely small board. Now, if we move over to our connectivity options on the back here, we have 2 USB 2.0 ports, and then we have a PS2 port here for your keyboard and your mouse if you want to use it. And then we have a clear CMOS button. I love to see that on such a small board like this, because having it on the board, you know, when you're in a small form factor system is going to be really hard to get to. So you have that right there. You have a SATA 6-gig eSATA port. You have 4 USB 3.0 ports, 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and these are both Intel ports. You have 2 USB 3.1 ports, and this is the Type A port. Again, this is brand new technology as far as USB 3.1 goes. It's just being adopted, so seeing that on a motherboard is great. And then we have our audio connections. Another cool thing about this board is that it does have Wi-Fi, so you install the included Wi-Fi module, which I actually have here. Very, very small Wi-Fi module, and you just go ahead and install it like that. And of course you would connect the antennas and all of that, and it comes with everything, and it shows you how to get it all installed. But again, you just have this extremely small package extremely small motherboard here, which is it's very impressive. It's going to be interesting to see how the thermals do on the included cooler it's required to use with this. But besides all of that, just having that in such a small package, I mean, imagine the crazy high-end gaming system that you could build in such a small package. You know, Mini-ITX cases are becoming extremely popular, and being able to have the power and performance of a Haswell-E processor as well as a full-size graphics card is just pretty impressive. So make sure you check back very soon on thinkcomputers.org for our full written review. We'll be testing pretty much everything on this motherboard. And remember guys, if you do enjoy our videos, why don't you subscribe? Catch you guys later.